Right now on Morning News Now, narrowing the scope. President Trump once again taking aim at birthright citizenship, signing a pair of executive orders yesterday that his administration says will crack down on so-called birth tourism. So could we soon see yet another showdown between the White House and the Supreme Court over one of the commander-in-chief's signature campaign promises? Danny Ceballos is here to dig a little deeper coming up. Elsewhere in Washington this morning, the contempt of Congress case over Dr. Anthony Fauci's headline-grabbing COVID testimony now in the hands of the Trump Justice Department. But what happens next? Meanwhile, Senator Mitch McConnell now reportedly out of rehab after that fall back in June. Will he return to his seat anytime soon? Plus, stunning new details about the man accused of starting one of Washington state's most destructive wildfires in history. Why police there are now painting the 37-year-old suspect as a serial arsonist, all while emergency crews race to contain a catastrophe that has already torched hundreds of homes. And it's a loaded question we've been asking ourselves a lot lately, especially on social media. Is it real or is it AI? Well, now some companies are creating AI detectors to do just that. But how do they work, and do we really need them? We will tap into that conversation later in the hour. Good morning. Thank you so much for joining us. And let's start with good news. We have made it to Friday. We're through the week. I'm Savannah Sellers. Jill will be back with us next week. We are going to begin this hour with President Trump taking another shot at fulfilling one of his top campaign promises, restricting birthright citizenship. Yesterday, the president signed 2 executive orders that he says will curb so-called birth tourism. NBC News correspondent Chris Pallone is in Washington, D.C. and joins us with more. Hi, Chris. Good morning.
Yeah, hi there, Savannah. Good morning to you. The Supreme Court ruled against President Trump's first attempt at restricting birthright citizenship, a right guaranteed by the 14th Amendment. Critics predict these new executive orders will meet the same fate. After losing at the Supreme Court in June, President Trump is taking another shot at restricting birthright citizenship.
Unfortunately, we had a bad decision, very unfair decision. Our country suffers because of it. And we're ending it a different way.
The president signing 2 executive orders Thursday, taking a more narrow approach to stop the children born to non-citizens in the U.S. from automatically being granted U.S. citizenship.
We're cracking down very big crackdowns, and this will give us the right to do it in a much more forceful manner.
In a narrow June decision, the Supreme Court shot down President Trump's first attempt at restricting the right guaranteed by the 14th Amendment to the Constitution. The new executive orders are more focused, denying automatic citizenship to children of foreign diplomatic staff working in the U.S., children of people classified as alien enemies, children born in U.S. territories if Congress changes the law, and children born to mothers taking part in so-called birth tourism.
They're buying their way in, and we're not going to let it happen.
If you're telling a consular officer you're here as a tourist, but your true purpose and intent is to go to a baby mill, give birth, and try to mint an American citizen while you're here, then you're committing a fraud against the American government.
The Trump administration says it will also deny visas to some pregnant women trying to enter the U.S. Several civil rights groups say they'll challenge the new orders in court. And the nation's largest Hispanic civil rights group called the new executive orders another effort to demonize black and brown immigrants. And the ACLU said no matter how many executive orders President Trump signs, birthright remains the law of the land. Savannah.
All right, Chris, thank you very much for starting us off this hour. For more on this, let's bring in NBC News legal analyst Danny Ceballos. He is here on set with us. Danny, always great to see you. So I want to talk through this concept of this intent to engage in birth tourism. How would it play out to try to prove something like that?
So there are 2 different orders, and intent isn't spoken about in the sense of a crime beyond a reasonable doubt or anything like that. The executive orders don't create crimes. And in fact, the first executive order doesn't even speak of intent. It really just asks, was there a contract? Did money exchange hands? Did each side do something? Are there receipts? That's what it asks about. The second executive order really just vests the consulate, vests people who are considering visas with tremendous power. What's interesting is that those decisions are essentially unreviewable. I mean, you can review them, but they have so much discretion, it makes it very, very difficult to even get into court if you want to challenge that decision at a consulate.
Do you think this is headed for another showdown between the president and the Supreme Court?
It's hard to say. I mean, the Supreme Court just weighed in on this 5 weeks ago. So here we are again with some of the same issues. So to some degree, it could be argued that the Supreme Court, Justice Roberts, covered all of this. He went into excruciating detail on issues like diplomats and birth tourism. So you could see a Supreme Court saying, well, whatever appeals court it gets to, that's the final word. We don't even need to hear this because we already went over this several weeks ago. Or there's the approach that, look, this is always important constitutionally speaking, and the court should hear it no matter what.
So let's talk about, let's just say it went there. The possibility, just in the way that the president has narrowed his scope here on this, could that sort of happen with the Supreme Court and then look at potentially modifying the 14th Amendment with some type of narrow birth tourism language there? Or is that an act of Congress? What could we see happen on that front now that the president's raised that specifically?
Only Congress can amend the Constitution, and it takes a lot of Congress to do it. Certainly not a bare majority. But when it comes to the Supreme Court really interprets the Constitution. And I say that because they just interpreted it. And this exact provision of the Constitution of the 14th Amendment. So that's why I see this maybe not having too much for the Supreme Court to really decide. I could see them taking this and saying, we've already been over a lot of this. We already decided this just 2 months ago, and here we are again. That is the interesting part. To what degree would a court decide this has already been decided, and very recently so?
Jenny Savalos, thanks. I appreciate you as always. Well, another news out of Washington, the Justice Department is now reviewing a contempt referral against Dr. Anthony Fauci. It comes after a Republican-led Senate committee voted to hold him in contempt over his refusal to answer questions at that public hearing last week. NBC News senior national politics reporter Jonathan Allen joins us with that and all the latest out of D.C. Hi, John. So what happens now that this case is in the Justice Department's hands?
Good morning, Savannah. It's everyone's guess what happens now. The Justice Department has said that it received this contempt recommendation from the Senate Homeland Security Committee, but has not said what they're going to do with it. I think there are a lot of legal scholars that believe that because Anthony Fauci was given a pardon by by President Joe Biden, and because the full Senate didn't act on this, and because Fauci invoked his Fifth Amendment right to not incriminate himself during those hearings, that it would be very difficult for the Justice Department to bring any sort of prosecution against Fauci. And that it would set a huge precedent, by the way, for future prosecutions of people who have been pardoned and for future prosecutions of people who invoke their constitutional rights.
John, I want to ask you a little bit more Justice Department news. In the social media posting earlier this morning, we saw Republican Senator Lisa Murkowski say she will now oppose Todd Blanche's nomination to be Attorney General to fully get that job. What does this mean for his chances of being confirmed?
It looks like we're down to one, Savannah. The vote of Bill Cassidy, Republican of Louisiana, he would make the difference if he were to decide to come out against Todd Blanche, to vote against Todd Blanche. That nomination would probably go down, given all the counting that's gone on both sides so far. Cassidy, you will recall, is not returning to the Senate next year because President Trump endorsed his opponent in the Republican Senate primary in Louisiana. And it will be interesting to see whether Cassidy believes Blanche should be the next Attorney General, whether he believes Blanche should not be the Attorney General, or whether he simply decides to take out some retribution on President Trump.
Other news, John, here, Republican Senator Mitch McConnell, he says he's been discharged from that rehab center where he was recovering from a fall he suffered. That was all the way back in mid-June. Any sense now of when he'll be back in the Senate?
No. Senator McConnell did not say in his statement any sort of timetable for his return to the Senate. People have been waiting eagerly and anxiously to hear about his condition, about his recovery, and whether and when he will actually return to the Senate. He said he's going to be working from home. In that statement, we still haven't seen Senator McConnell on camera or taking questions. So your guess is as good as mine, Savannah.
I suppose you could have just stopped with no. I appreciated that, John. All right, we are putting you through it this morning. It's just a round robin of all the headlines out of D.C. One more for you. The FCC voted yesterday to eliminate limits on broadcast TV ownership. We've seen a lot happen with the FCC in this particular administration. How does this fit into this broader media agenda for President Trump?
It's a great question, Savannah. I think the key here is what the FCC did is they decided they're going to judge on a case-by-case basis whether broadcasters are able to expand their network of local television stations. So what that does is it puts an extraordinary amount of power in the hands of the FCC to determine which deals can go through. And what Brendan Carr has said, what the FCC has indicated, is that the content of that will be part of the decision making. So lots of power to encourage TV networks to broadcast particular content.
John Allen doing a lot for us this morning. We appreciate it, John. Thank you.
Thanks.
Well, President Trump is lashing out at the media after reports of the U.S. running short on key munitions in the war with Iran. It led to a crisis meeting, we now know, at the Pentagon after a top Pentagon official received an angry phone call from the president himself. It comes as negotiations over the future of the Strait of Hormuz drag on. NBC News chief international correspondent Keir Simmons is following the latest on this for us. Keir, good morning.
Hey there, good morning, and still no news, which in this case, maybe no news is bad news. A regional official telling us that there may be rivalries inside Iran that are making an agreement more difficult to reach. And we have news of one faction of the Iranian military allegedly targeting Saudi Arabia. More about that in a moment, but first, the ships in the Strait of Hormuz are continuing to face targeting by Iran and that US blockade. The talks so far seem to be dragging on. President Trump saying, quote, "I think we're doing very well. I just, I'm involved in the negotiation. I think we're doing fine. It could be soon." Of course, he did say that there was going to be an announcement, or very likely to be an announcement, this week. Now, Friday morning, you're beginning to wonder whether or not that really will come about. Now, the Fars news agency, that's a semi-official news agency in Iran, says that an agreement between Iran and Oman, which is the country on the other side of the Strait of Hormuz, an agreement between those two countries about how to manage the Strait of Hormuz is in front of the Iranian parliament. But it also says that details of that agreement include that vessels will be charged, or that there will be a fee or some kind of way of making payment. And it says that US and Israeli vessels will not be allowed to pass through that crucial waterway. That, of course, will be controversial. And the Trump administration has consistently said that it is opposed to charges in the Strait of Hormuz. We haven't heard from Washington or from regional capitals confirming whether or not that is indeed what is being proposed. But we should say that Iran has consistently said that it's not negotiating with the United States, that it is only negotiating with Oman. Now, to that question of Saudi Arabia being targeted, a Saudi Arabian senior Saudi official tells me that multiple intelligence agencies have information that a group in Iran's IRGC, its military wing, is supervising a planned attack on Saudi Arabia from Iraq and from Yemen, from the Houthis, presumably. That is potentially one part of the Iranian regime trying to make a move to make these talks more difficult though they already are. And then, meanwhile, President Trump answering questions about that NBC News report that the US is running low on some munitions. He is denying that report, saying the US military has unlimited supply. Whether or not, in the days to come, he will return to threatening a massive escalation in the conflict, we will see, but certainly that surely becomes more and more of a possibility the longer it takes to try to find some kind of an agreement for just one small part of this negotiation. Just remember that it's not the whole peace deal, it's just one thing, the Strait of Hormuz, how to get that reopened. Guys?
Keir, thank you so much. Well, back here in the U.S., tech giant Meta is now facing nearly $1 billion in penalties to address harm done to children using Facebook and Instagram. In the second phase of this landmark trial, a New Mexico judge has just ordered Meta to pay an additional $567 million, bringing the total penalties in this case to $942 million. In March, the jury in the case found Meta knowingly harmed children's mental health in addition to concealing its awareness of child sexual exploitation on its platforms. Much of the new money will go toward youth treatment services, with the rest funding awareness, prevention, and screening programs. The order also requires Meta to improve its age assurance tools and other child safety measures. Now, Meta disagrees with the ruling and says it plans to appeal. Well, this morning we are learning new details about the suspect accused of igniting one of the most destructive wildfires in Washington state history. Authorities say that suspect is now admitting he is a serial arsonist and has set more than 24 fires across the region. Emergency crews are still fighting to contain the historic fire near Spokane that has already destroyed hundreds of homes. NBC News national correspondent Morgan Chesky is out west with the latest for us. Hi, Morgan.
As firefighters continue to battle the flames around Spokane and homeowners face utter destruction, stunning new charges depicting a serial arsonist in 37-year-old Aaron Farinacci. Farinacci now charged with intentionally starting the most destructive fire in Spokane's history and 4 other counts of first-degree arson dating back to July of last year.
Aaron Forrest Farinacci.
Detective Sharon Farinacci initially denied responsibility, but then gave a detailed description of Spokane's Old Trails fire that destroyed hundreds of homes in Saturday's fast-moving inferno. Investigators say he shared how he planned and executed his plan to start fires and maximize the spread, confessing he planned it 2 weeks earlier, even researching the weather to ensure a dangerously hot and windy day. Adding, the 37-year-old admitted he feels fire is powerful, beautiful, and said arson is an easy crime to get away from. Court documents going on to say Farinacci claims to have ignited 25 fires near his home between July and August of last year and was questioned by police multiple times but never arrested.
You believe you have the sole person responsible in custody?
Yes, we do.
Sheriff John Knowles speaking to the challenge of proving arson cases.
Why were charges not filed against him last year?
Back to when those investigations happen, you have to have people who can reasonably put a suspect in a certain place at a certain time.
And in the Old Trails fire, authorities have just that. Eyewitnesses who contacted police after spotting Farinacci acting suspiciously near where that massive fire began.
And fire officials stress that the coming days will be paramount in this firefight, pointing to the fact that temperatures could hit 100 degrees and that gusty winds are forecast for this upcoming Saturday. The sheriff telling me even the smallest spark could start a brand new wildfire. We'll send it back to you.
Morgan, thank you very much. Well, from that fire danger out west, then this rainy end to the work week in the east, let's get a check on your Friday forecast. Angie Lastman's with us tracking it all. Hey, Angie, good morning.
Good morning, Savannah. No shortage of weather to talk about as we roll into the weekend. We've got, as you mentioned, all of the fire concern across parts of the west. Let's start with those fire alerts. You can see the fire weather watches and red flag warnings are up across parts of the Pacific Northwest. This is because we've got all the ingredients kind of there. And as Morgan just mentioned, they do kind of worsen in the coming days. We've got gusty winds up to 30 miles per hour, and we've got low humidity, not to mention those very warm temperatures that we've been talking about for days and days now. So no surprise, we've still got air quality alerts as well. As firefighters continue to battle those fires, we're going to continue to see kind of the denser smoke focused across parts of the Pacific Northwest, and then that hazier kind of milky sky across parts of the Midwest. Big picture look for your air quality alerts. It's really a much smaller area of concern, but still we've got some areas that are dealing with unhealthy and even very unhealthy air quality, again, across parts of Idaho, Montana, Washington, and Oregon. So heads up, that's going to be something you'll see through the day today. Spokane coming in at 156 right now. So again, taking those necessary precautions. The heat also remaining a big story. Much of the West under these alerts, 81 million people, Salt Lake City, Sacramento, Medford, Los Angeles, Phoenix, all included in that as we gear up for temperatures once again into the triple digits. Salt Salt Lake City, 101 today. You're staying in that range by tomorrow. We've got highs into the hundreds for Denver as well by Saturday. Phoenix, 113 on Saturday as well. The East also hot and humid. We've got humidity conditions leaving us with feels like temperatures of 101 in New Orleans, Tallahassee, even Philadelphia will feel like 102 by this afternoon. New York City ends up into those 90s. And we've got some showers and thunderstorms to talk about. Notice that severe potential stretching from New York to Washington, D.C. through this afternoon and evening, Savannah.
All right, Angie, thank you so much. Well, we are learning new details this morning about what's now a nationwide recall on jalapenos linked to a salmonella outbreak. The FDA is investigating a San Diego-based distributor that sourced the peppers from Mexico as officials work to pinpoint this source of the contamination. NBC News correspondent Ann Thompson has the latest.
The salmonella-tainted jalapeno peppers driving this latest outbreak are being recalled. The FDA says San Diego-based Coast Citrus distributors agreed to the action. It supplied the hot peppers to Chipotle and Qdoba restaurant chains. The companies say they are no longer serving those items. Like the lettuce linked to the cyclospora outbreak, the recalled jalapenos come from Mexico, where some 63% of all our imported vegetables are grown. But the government says the FDA only inspects a tiny fraction of the food.
They only inspect 2% of all imported products. Only 2%? Only 2%.
Barbara Kowalczyk leads George Washington University's Institute for Food Safety.
So how do we know the other 98% is safe?
Well, and that's not tested. That's just inspected. FDA doesn't have the resources to go out to those establishments and check to make sure that their food safety systems are working. Even here in the United States, they only inspect facilities once every 5 to 7 years.
Now come the lawsuits. A Minnesota woman is taking Chipotle to court after she got sick from eating a burrito bowl and was hospitalized with salmonella that triggered sepsis in June. While this outbreak may be ramping up, signs the cyclospora contamination is waning. Michigan, the epicenter with more than 12,000 cases, says illnesses are on the decline, and it's lifted its warning to avoid bagged salads. Back to the jalapenos, the FDA says it does not appear that the peppers in question were sent to grocery stores. Instead, they went to wholesalers, food service companies, and restaurants. If you have jalapenos at home and you are worried, know a couple of things. First of all, washing helps, but you can't completely wash off salmonella. The only way to kill it is to cook it. And when in doubt, throw it out. Back to you.
All right, Ann Thompson, thank you very much. There's much more to come on this Friday edition of Morning News Now, including a candid conversation on whether we need tech companies to help us decide what's real and what's AI online. Can we decipher fact from fiction ourselves? First, though, after the break, growing desperation in Puerto Rico this morning amid a dire water crisis that is ravaging the San Juan area. My families there will be forced to go without it for days at a time. That's up next. We are back now with a look at a major humanitarian crisis that is unfolding in Puerto Rico. Hundreds of thousands of people in and around the capital city of San Juan are about to get hit with rolling water shutoffs brought on by an historic drought and aging infrastructure. NBC News correspondent George Solis has more.
Growing desperation as drastic water rationing measures in Puerto Rico are just hours away from taking effect. Families will be without water on a rotating basis for 2 days at a time. People here are now racing to prepare. In San Juan, we met a woman named Ana filling up her water bottles.
How bad is the water crisis right now?
It's extremely bad. It's something really hard to handle. We shouldn't be living like this.
At neighborhood wells like this one in rural San Juan, the flow offering a lifeline as residents now forced to make decisions like taking a shower or flushing toilets. The water restrictions come as more than 1/3 of the U.S. territory is facing severe drought or worse. In San Juan, it was the driest July on record. Puerto Ricans already facing water shortages for months, complicated further by aging infrastructure. The drought only adding insult to injury. Many here feel they're caught in the middle of government infighting. San Juan's mayor lashing out during a special hearing in June, calling the situation a disgrace. A top member of the water utility resigning over the rationing plan. In Loíza, water trucks are refilling home water tanks. This woman saying it's harder to live without water than without electricity. When school starts, washing uniforms is going to be very hard. And business owners say it's costing them money because they now have to buy water from private sources. This man says it costs as much as $500 a day to fill their water tank. George Solis, NBC News.
Well, in overseas news, prosecutors in Israel have charged a man in the murder of a Palestinian activist in the West Bank last year, where violence has been surging. It is the first time since the October 7th Hamas attacks in 2023 that Israeli prosecutors have taken this step. Since those attacks almost 3 years ago now, Israeli settlers have killed at least 1,100 Palestinians, according to an Israeli human rights group. NBC News chief foreign correspondent Richard Engel takes us to one Palestinian village in the West Bank, where the mayor says the harassment has been relentless.
Violence is surging in the occupied West Bank. Last week, the UN warned attacks by Israeli settlers and the expansion of settlements and outposts on Palestinian land hit an all-time high. The latest and worst flare-up in months was sparked by a deadly clash near the Palestinian village of Tel. 4 Palestinians and 2 Israelis were killed. Each side accuses the other of provoking the confrontation. The IDF claims Israeli civilians were hiking when they were attacked. Palestinian officials say the Israelis were settlers trying to break into houses when they were confronted in self-defense. In an area under the Palestinian Authority's civil and security control, and where Israeli civilians are prohibited from entering. Videos posted on social media and analyzed by NBC News show part of the confrontation. Israeli soldiers are on the scene. A Palestinian man appears to be shot first. Another Palestinian man is seen wrestling a rifle away from an armed Israeli man, turning the weapon and firing. Settlers then unleashed reprisal attacks against Palestinians throughout the area. In Kusra, just south of Tel, the mayor showed me how his village and its 7,000 residents are being choked by growing numbers of settlers who are violently trying to push them out.
Is basically being surrounded.
Yes. Mayor Abdelazim Wadi's brother and nephew were killed by settlers in 2023. His daughter's house was also set on fire in a settler attack.
Why do you think the settlements are expanding and surrounding your village? What's the goal?
He wants us to leave this land. Every time he push the people.
I joined Mayor Abdelazim as he met and checked on Kusra's residents.
Do you have any kind of security force at all? Or is there no security forces of any kind?
No one help me in Kusra. Every time I'm go to help the family. Because no police, no government here. Look here, the mosque fire here from the settler.
The Al-Rahma Mosque was attacked just days after the clashes in Tel.
Witnesses say a group of settlers torched this mosque, and the reason why couldn't be clear. The attackers wrote on the wall here in Hebrew, "Revenge."
Nearby residents rushed to put out the blaze, including 64-year-old Ahmed Mohammed Musa, who lives just next door with his family.
Did you see who did it?
I saw a group running away, he said, at least 3 people with flashlights in their hands.
And you had to put out the fire yourselves. There's no fire department here, no police.
The Israeli army came, but they took no interest at all and did nothing, he said. They're only concerned with defending the settlers. The Israeli military said it searched for suspects who had fled prior to their arrival and identified signs of arson and graffiti at the scene. But no arrests have been made. Despite the escalating threats and violence, Musa says he will never leave this place. I would rather die with dignity on my land, he said. There's a saying in Arabic, whoever leaves their home loses their strength. I want to remain in my home and remain strong, he says. I continued with the mayor.
Now we can go to the road. It's very dangerous.
To the edge of the village, where on a hilltop, 3 Palestinian homes for months have been effectively cut off by settlers.
So those are the houses right there, Palestinian houses that are surrounded by very aggressive settlers. The mayor is saying, don't even try and approach them because they'll come out and attack and maybe even shoot to kill. Do you have their phone numbers? Can we talk to the people who are there, maybe on the phone?
We managed to reach 30-year-old Yusuf Abed Al-Salam, who lives in the middle house.
السلام عليكم كيف حالك يا أستاذ؟ أنا اسمي ريتشارد أنجل من شبكة NBC News. He's saying that the settlers were in his house 15 minutes ago.
Yusuf spent more than a decade building this home, where he lives with his wife and 2 young daughters. The oldest, just 4, is suffering serious psychological trauma, he says. They're facing constant harassment and intimidation. The family shared videos of settlers trying to break in. Their olive trees cut down. The settlers even grazing animals on their land. But Yusuf refuses to move out, fearing that if he does, his home and his land would be taken over by the settlers for good.
How are you living? Totally surrounded, totally cut off. How are you surviving?
احنا عايشين يعني في تقريبا نفس السجن، يعني في صراحه في سجن، يعني لا مي، قطعوا عنا المي تقريبا صار لها شهر. الكهرباء قطعوها عده مرات تصلحها البلديه ويجوا بعد يوم يقطعوها، صار لها تقريبا اسبوع فيش كهرباء.
And I don't want to cause problems for you or for the mayor or for myself, but what would happen if I walked up this hill and came to you?
ممكن يصير عليك خطر، يعني راح يلاقوك راح يضربوك، مش راح بتوقع ما يخلوكش عايش يعني.
The amount of intimidation, the amount of fear that Palestinians are experiencing just living in their own home. It is so bizarre. I can see him, but if we got close to him, he's even saying, don't come, otherwise you're going to get stabbed or shot or beaten perhaps to death. And this is not unusual. There are lots of villages in the West Bank that are experiencing the exact same scenario.
Richard Engel, NBC News, Qusra, the occupied West Bank.
Coming up, leaving the flock. When we come back, we will take you to Minnesota, where one company's license plate reading cameras are being vandalized in a scene that we're seeing be repeated across the country. We'll explain next. We are back with growing security concerns around those controversial license plate reading flock cameras used by law enforcement across the U.S. Police say the cameras help them solve crimes faster, but critics are calling them an unchecked invasion of privacy. Well, as the network of cameras grows, protesters around the country have been dismantling or vandalizing them. Reporter Ian Russell from our Twin Cities affiliate has a look at this trend in Minnesota.
Like cities across the country.
Coming up on a year this October.
Prior Lake's police department using new versions of older tech.
Our stationary automated license plate readers, ALPRs, are with Flock.
And like cities across the state, seeing the same thing again and again.
We have 6 cameras, only 2 of them are active right now. 4 have been damaged at different points in time.
Prior Lake Police Chief Liam Duggan says those cameras have been down for months, and they're not the only ones.
Taking technologies away from them is making that job harder.
Automated license plate readers, mainly by Flock, have been damaged across the state in recent months. All 8 of Winona's cameras were cut down this month, 6 stolen or vandalized in Duluth this summer. A Faribault man was arrested last week for stealing one of the cameras in town.
It literally multiplies the eyes we have when we are trying to solve crimes.
Of course, not everyone is on board with these cameras. Cities around the metro have voted to completely remove them after pushback from residents, mainly over data privacy concerns.
You know, I'm all for putting the bad guys away. I've got a wife and baby at home, so I understand. But I do think it's definitely an invasion of privacy.
Corey Johnson from Rochester pulled over to tell us his thoughts outside Prior Lake.
There's no telling what they're doing with that, you know. You don't know what goes on behind the scenes.
The second we realize the vehicle is not involved, it's gone. 30 days later, it's deleted. No one ever pays attention to it again.
Data that isn't part of an active investigation has to be deleted within 60 days, according to Minnesota law. A city not unlike any other, now balancing public service with public trust.
What I do want to do is solve crimes more thoroughly, with more detail, make fewer mistakes, and do it more quickly so that we can move on to other business.
Our thanks to Ian Russell for that report. Well, a spokesperson for Flock Safety also told our affiliate there that the company does not sell customer data. Well, this morning, tributes are pouring in after the tragic death of a young content creator named Sydney Toll, who documented her fight against cancer online. The 26-year-old's family announced that she passed away on Wednesday after a battle with a rare and aggressive form of cancer. Several years ago, Toll started sharing her treatment journey on TikTok, encouraging her audience of more than 1 million followers to see life as a gift, even in difficult circumstances. NBC News correspondent Dana Griffin has more on Toll's lasting digital legacy.
Let's go slice some chemo.
For years, Sydney Toll radiated joy, captivating audiences on TikTok with her effervescent spirit.
Good morning.
Her wit.
Hey, do you guys have any more room under there?
And her love for living life to the fullest.
We can do hard things.
Even while documenting the darkest chapter of her life, battling a rare and aggressive bile duct cancer, cholangiocarcinoma.
Hey, besties.
Updating her besties through the highs and lows, ignoring negative comments.
Sometimes life is horribly unfair and it doesn't look the way that you want it to, but you still show up for yourself every single day.
And advocating for early screenings.
When detected early, survival rates can reach up to 99%.
But this week's update came from Sydney's mom and brother.
Sid went peacefully last night. She fought really hard, and we're so proud of her.
Thank you for all of your kind messages of support and love.
In May, a dream came true for Sydney when she walked the runway for Miami Swim Week, just days after refusing her doctor's suggestion to start end-of-life care.
I said no, so we are switching hospitals.
The news of Sydney's passing hitting her more than 1 million followers.
It's just really incredible how somebody we never met in person can still become so meaningful to us.
She's an example of being so incredibly light and passionate and happy and in love with life.
And how impactful was having community and sharing her journey online?
It was hugely impactful for this rare cancer.
Stacey Lindsay is CEO of the Cholangiocarcinoma Foundation.
I think Sydney will inspire the younger generation to be more thoughtful about healthy and positive living because she lived her life in such a positive way.
For Sydney, this was more than turning cancer into content. It was transforming pain into awareness while reshaping people's image of what living with cancer looks like. Dana Griffin, NBC News.
Coming up, separating fact from fiction in the age of AI. When Morning News Now returns, why some companies are looking to cash in on detecting what's real and what's not, especially online. Plus tips on how you can spot bogus content all on your own. Stick with us. That's next. We are back with the highly contentious debate over transgender athletes participating in women's sports. And that's now coming to the WNBA. Indiana Fever star Sophie Cunningham said she supported banning transgender girls and women from competition. Well, that sparked protests outside the Fever's last few games, which even led to a confrontation in the stands. NBC News national correspondent Yasmin Vasugian explains.
Things are heating up in the WNBA right now, largely off the court, after Indiana Fever guard Sophie Cunningham voiced support for banning transgender girls and women in female sports in a recent ESPN interview. Then doubling down.
When it comes just to protecting young girls in sport and women in sport, I feel very strongly about that.
Protests popped up outside her next game against the Seattle Storm, both in support and against her. Other fans wore T-shirts printed with XX and XY chromosomes on them. Cunningham and the Fever went on to win that game, but not before Seattle Storm co-owner Celeste Keaton got into it with fans who were holding signs supporting Cunningham. A day later, Keaton was suspended from going to the team's next 5 home games and fined an undisclosed amount by the league. The team apologizing to fans for the confrontation. Then, at Sunday's game in Minnesota, Lynx coach Cheryl Reeve let her shirt do the talking with "Trans Kids Belong" written on it. She and Cunningham speaking on the court before the game. Keeping things civil, Reeve addressing the conversation with the press afterward.
I think both of us understand that we have platforms. And, we both talked about, wanting to, more than anything, educate. It was nice to be in person, for sure.
And Cunningham's teammate, superstar Caitlin Clark, played it diplomatic in response to the controversy.
It's not really a discussion we really have in our locker room.
But it's not preventing tons of less civil chatter online.
So let's get something straight. Sophie Cunningham can make publicly transphobic comments, triple down on them, and continue to play without facing any real consequences.
Of course, it's not the first time sports have clashed with the political arena. When some players take stands, a firestorm can follow.
Wouldn't you love to see one of these NFL owners, when somebody disrespects our flag, to say, get that son of a off the field right now, out, he's fired.
So keep the political commentary to yourself, or as someone once said, shut up and dribble.
He is not vaccinated. That is a stunner. That is a bombshell. I've got some strong opinions.
But the debate in the WNBA is all coming to a head as the country grapples with the rights of transgender and female athletes. An NBC News poll shows most Americans oppose trans women competing in female sports. But supporters say bans on trans athletes, especially in youth sports, encourage bullying, discrimination, and even violence, and that trans people represent an extremely small percentage of competitors across all levels. A number of leagues recently taking action, the NCAA changing its policy last year, effectively barring trans athletes by limiting competition in women's sports to those assigned female at birth. And the International Olympic Committee this year saying only, quote, biological females can compete starting with the 2028 LA Games. The WNBA does not have a specific policy on transgender athletes. In 30 years, the league, there have been no known players that transition from male to female. Cunningham saying the focus should be on the action on the court.
I just hate how the basketball of it all is just getting overshadowed.
The spotlight is on women's sports more than ever before, raising the stakes for all involved.
Yasmin Vasugian, NBC News.
Well, next week marks the start of the school year for many districts across the U.S. As teachers put the final touch on their classrooms, many have to spend their own money to get the supplies they need. Reporter Damian Trujillo from NBC Bay Area has more.
There's no time to waste. Imelda Murillo is getting her classroom ready for her incoming sixth graders who arrive on Monday.
It's always stressful, and I have some of the same kids as last year, but obviously it's a new grade, so we want to make it exciting, but super stressful because there's never enough time to do everything.
Across campus at Santee Elementary, Adrian Sarellano brought in his niece and nephew to help with the classroom preps. And to get ready, both teachers will have to shell out some of their own cash to get the supplies they need.
Sometimes we do have donations of like tissue, which doesn't seem like, Kleenex and things like that, which doesn't seem like a school would need, but we do, like paper towels. Sometimes we run out of paper towels, hand soap, disinfectant wipes, those kinds of things that you don't necessarily think are related to an education, but we need all of those things.
Most teachers come to a nonprofit called Raft, a special store in San Jose designed for educators. 32,000 square feet of discounted classroom items.
Our educators come here because it's very, very low cost. A lot of teachers are sometimes expected to pay out of pocket to supply their classrooms, so we're trying to help that need.
Raft says teachers spend between $500 and $1,000 per year on supplies. This is where we found Abby Davis, a speech therapist who is also getting ready to spend money for her students.
I will because we all care about the kids and we get excited about the projects that they're working on, and working in special education, each child learns differently.
Teachers are given a stipend for the school year. District officials say they wish they could give more. At campuses like Santee, teachers say it's not nearly enough to cover the costs of giving children the quality education they deserve.
The community that we serve sometimes doesn't necessarily have access to all the resources that students need, especially in sixth grade.
Educators spending their own money on a teacher's salary with the rising cost of living to boot.
Our thanks to Damian Trujillo for that important report. Well, on the tech front, many of us have likely seen a viral video on social media. Maybe you read a little bit of a story online, and then you thought, is this real or is this AI? Well, nearly half of U.S. adults say they do use AI. They use a chatbot regularly. That's according to a recent Pew Research survey. Well, as the technology gets more sophisticated, it gets more difficult to know whether something was created by a human or essentially by a machine. Well, now some companies are creating what's called AI detectors. So these are software tools that can help you determine if the content that you're looking at was generated by AI. NBC News chief technology analyst Joanna Stern tested some of these AI detectors herself. She joins us now to break down what she learned. Joanna, good morning. We love when you test this tech for us and come tell us about it. So thanks very much for joining us. First, just like before downloading the software tool, let's talk about maybe just like some of the hallmarks of AI content generally, what somebody might be able to spot just with their own eyes.
Well, in this project where I'm looking at these AI detectors, I was really focused on text, a little bit on imagery, but I think you can say there's a few things across text, images, video, all AI content that has a little bit of just a perfect shine to it. I think you can just look at something and say, that just looks a little too perfect, or it looks a little bit too stiff in the writing. The writing is, again, what I really focused on here, and I think that there are a few hallmarks of some AI writing. One is that stiffness, that kind of just like cliche, generic language. I think also just the sentence after sentence of nothingness. Sometimes you'll get an email, it's just 3 times too long, or a memo that's 3 times too long. I think those can be some signs of AI writing.
So let's talk now about these detectors. How do they work, and did you find they were accurate?
So there's been a lot of questioning around these detectors because some of them can be pretty accurate in some cases, but in other cases, they can be marking human writing as AI writing, which can be a big problem when that goes wrong, especially at an academic institution or even at a company. So, but there has been over the last couple of months some real improvement in some of these. I tested 3. I tested one called Pangram, one called GPT-0, and another one from Grammarly. And the 2 that I found to be the most accurate were Pangram and GPT-0. And the way I tested was I tested it, put in AI text, I put in human text. I did this a number of times, and I really saw it be accurate each time. And these read out to you a percentage. We believe this is 100% human. We believe this is 100% AI. It's, there's some confidence levels that you can look at, but it's a pretty cool way to see if you think something is AI.
Viewers might have just seen on our screen the video we were showing there of one of them. It says, what is an AI detector and should you use one? Which is kind of my next question. Should we be so focused on something like this? Is this something people should start trying to learn and using in their everyday life? Or are there certain moments you would say maybe an AI detector is worth it for, somebody just at home to be using?
Well, you're right. Certainly, they're using these at academic institutions, in all sorts of schools, in companies, just to be able to spot what is AI, what is not, especially if you've got clear guidelines and rules around using AI in an institution or a company. So when you think about consumers, I started using these because I just had a little feeling that some of the people I was emailing with and the people that were sending me documents were using AI. And I just had this feeling, and I wanted to confirm that. Did I need to go use it? No, but it kind of made me feel better when I saw that it proved that these people had been using AI, and I got the 100% AI rating on some of the text.
Right. Joanna, you think that this is just like something that eventually we're all going to be more comfortable with and more aware of?
Definitely. I mean, look, I think there is going to be some of this detection maybe start to be built into the platforms themselves. That would be a really nice thing. LinkedIn last week actually rolled out a button that you can mark as slop. If you think something is AI slop or written by AI on your LinkedIn feed, you can mark it that way. Now, I think there's this feeling like we want to get rid of some of this, but I think what's going to really happen is just we're going to see AI content everywhere, and we may not know what's real and what's AI.
Joanna Stern, we appreciate you. Great to see you. Thanks so much. Coming up, it is a multi-faith collective unlike anything else in the world. After the break, we'll take you to Nebraska, where one religious campus is bringing people together regardless of their faith. That's next on Morning News Now. We end this hour in Nebraska, home to the only multi-faith campus in the world. It is called the Tri-Faith Commons, and its main mission is to bring people together regardless of their religion. Reporter John Chapman from our NBC affiliate in Omaha spoke to some of the faith leaders about why this kind of unity is crucial, especially now more than ever.
38 acres of diversity make up the Tri-Faith Initiative campus, a Christian church, a mosque, and a synagogue, located on one spot in southwest Omaha.
So one of the interesting things of our shared campus is there's a creek that separates our building. That creek is called Hell's Creek, and yet we built a bridge over it called Abraham's Bridge. So the only way to pass through hell, at least metaphorically speaking, is to walk on a bridge together.
That bridge unites a Jew, a Christian, and a Muslim, working together to understand each other.
So yes, do we argue? Absolutely. But the beauty of being neighbors is it also creates the opportunity for us to gather and engage in what I've been calling sacred disagreement.
We cannot ignore one another because we look out of our sanctuaries, out of our offices, and we see our very neighbors. And it's a beautiful thing to be able to experience.
The concept for this unique campus was born from a simple act of kindness.
Was on September 11th, 2001, when a group of Omaha Jews, so concerned for their Muslim neighbors and for any possible reprisal attacks or prejudice attacks that might happen to them in the wake of the terrorist attacks, that they stood guard over a local mosque through the night to keep them safe.
Faith leaders here hope to be an example to the world, teaching lessons that start with our children.
I work particularly with our children and youth, and what a gift it is to be able to watch and hopefully foster relationships between children and youth of different backgrounds and different faiths.
It's almost hate every day. We try our best to bring some peace and to give a message that, yes, we can be together, we can work together. We listen to each other. We talk to each other. We again, at the end of the day, we are all human, and we all have the same blood color.
With all the conflict and pain going on in the world, this unique campus in a so-called flyover state might have a simple solution to some very complicated problems.
And that at the end of the day, if we can just let our guard down, listen to one another, hear and share our stories, and truly get to know one another, we can come to understand that no matter what divides us, what brings us together is stronger.
I'm John Chapman for NBC News Now.
What an incredible report. That's going to do it for this hour of Morning News Now. Don't go anywhere, though. Stay with us. The news continues right now. Good morning. I'm Savannah Sellers. Thanks for joining us on a Friday morning. Joe's off today. Right now on Morning News Now, trying again. President Trump makes another attempt to restrict the constitutional right to birthright citizenship with new executive orders. It comes just weeks after the Supreme Court blocked the president on the issue.
Unfortunately, we had a bad decision, very unfair decision. Our country suffers because of it, and we're ending it a different way.
We will bring you the details as well as how rights activists are pushing back once again. Heading home, Senator Mitch McConnell says he's been discharged from rehab after a nearly 2 months long stay. What we know about the octogenarian's condition as some question his capacity to serve. Landmark case, Meta ordered to pay fines totaling nearly $1 billion after a jury found the company knowingly harmed children. Why the judge says the parent company of Facebook and Instagram is a significant contributing factor to the mental health crisis, and how the company is responding this morning. AI goes viral. For the first time ever, scientists say they've used an AI to create a tool for new kinds of viruses. How they say this work can be pivotal to developing new medicines and gene therapy, despite concerns over the technology's dangerous consequences. Plus, back to school spending. With the start of the school year just weeks away, it is time to hit the stores for all of your New Year needs. And with spending expected to hit record highs, we've got tips and tricks to check off everything on your list while sticking to a budget later this hour. By the way, though, for a lot of us, it is still summer, so we still got some weeks left. It's just the beginning of August. Thanks again for being with us on a Friday morning. There's some good news. We made it to the end of the week. We're going to start this hour with President Trump's latest attempt to try to restrict birthright citizenship. So yesterday, he signed 2 executive orders that aim to curb what he's calling birth tourism. The Supreme Court already blocked a previous effort by the president to limit this constitutional right, and critics now believe this order will meet the same fate. NBC News Chief White House correspondent Garrett Hake joins us with more. Hey, Garrett, good morning.
Hey, Savannah, good morning to you. And yeah, look, these new orders from President Trump are an attempt to chip away at birthright citizenship after the Supreme Court just last month blocked as unconstitutional his effort to do away with it entirely. Now, the White House sees these as entirely in keeping with his campaign promises to restrict immigration, while Democrats and civil rights groups are vowing to take the president and these orders right back to court. This morning, President Trump renewing his efforts to restrict birthright citizenship with a pair of new executive orders, including cracking down on so-called birth tourism.
Wealthy people are building businesses around birthright citizenship. That's not the way it's supposed to work. It's a disgrace.
The new orders a revamped approach at ending automatic citizenship for the children of non-citizens, after the Supreme Court recently rejected a broader order signed in the administration's first days as an unconstitutional violation of the 14th Amendment.
Unfortunately, we had a bad decision, very unfair decision. Our country suffers because of it, and we're ending it a different way.
The new orders aim to block automatic citizenship for the children of some non-citizens, including those born to foreign diplomatic staff and to people who are members of federally classified terrorist groups.
This should have happened years ago, but we're taking care of it now.
They also impact children born to mothers who entered the U.S. for the sole purpose of delivering birth here, so-called birth tourism, which the Nonpartisan Migration Policy Institute estimates account for some 26,000 births each year in the U.S., out of more than 3.5 million. The administration says it will also deny visas to some pregnant women looking to travel to the U.S.
So if you're telling a consular officer you're here as a tourist, but your true purpose and intent is to go to a baby mill, give birth, and try to mint an American citizen while you're here, then you're committing a fraud against the American government.
The nation's largest Hispanic civil rights organization vowing to fight the new orders in court, blasting them as, quote, just another in a long series of efforts to demonize brown and black immigrants. And there's trouble for the White House on another front this morning, with Alaska's Republican Senator Lisa Murkowski announcing she'll vote no on Todd Blanche's confirmation to be Attorney General. Murkowski posting that the country, quote, needs an attorney general who will check the worst impulses of this administration. With Maine's Susan Collins already opposed to Blanche, that means he cannot afford any more Republican defections ahead of a likely vote this weekend. Savannah?
All right, Garrett, thank you very much. Well, staying with Washington politics, Senator Mitch McConnell is home this morning after being discharged from a rehab facility. The 84-year-old Kentucky Republican had been away from the Senate for nearly 2 months after falling at his home and being hospitalized. In a statement, he said his recovery will include an intensive regimen of physical therapy. Now, McConnell has not been seen publicly or heard from since being rushed to the hospital back in June. A month later, McConnell released a photo of himself and his wife, saying in a statement that he had fallen and was briefly unconscious. Thursday's statement didn't say exactly when McConnell would return to the Capitol, but the Senate goes on recess Monday until mid-September, suggesting it won't be until at least then. He's previously said he plans to retire when his term ends in January. Well, this morning there are new developments in the negotiations to reopen the Strait of Hormuz. It comes as President Trump grows increasingly frustrated about reports of depleted U.S. stockpiles. NBC News chief international correspondent Keir Simmons joins us now with the latest. Keir, good morning.
Hey there, good morning to you. Listen, at any moment we could get a breakthrough to reopen these waters in the hours and days ahead, but fundamentally right now there is no news, which is bad news for prices at the pump potentially heading into this weekend. A senior regional official telling NBC News that there is a power struggle inside Iran amid reports that an Iranian group is targeting Saudi Arabia even as these talks continue. This morning, amid ongoing peace talks, ships in the Strait of Hormuz still face fire from Iran and a U.S. blockade.
If you do not comply, we will compel compliance with force.
The negotiations President Trump said could conclude this week still dragging on.
I think we're doing very well. I'm involved in the negotiation. I think we're doing fine. It could be soon, yeah.
Iran has repeatedly denied having any direct talks with the U.S., but has been negotiating with Oman over the future control of the Strait of Hormuz. The price of oil rising again as millions of Americans hope for relief from higher prices at the pump.
We'll see those days pretty soon again, based on everything I see, as soon as the war ends, and I think it's going to end pretty soon.
Iran's semi-official Fars news agency publishing, it says, controversial details of the draft agreement now under review in Iran's parliament, including a bar on US and Israeli ships passing through the critical waterway and charges for vessels to pass. Washington and other countries in the region not confirming those reports. But in what one regional diplomat called an attempt to disrupt the talks, a senior Saudi official telling NBC News multiple intelligence reports suggest Iran's armed forces are supervising preparations for coordinated attacks on Saudi Arabia from Yemen and Iraq. Meanwhile, President Trump insisted the US has the capability to return to sustained combat, despite NBC News reporting dwindling stockpiles of some key munitions. Trump denying that, saying the military has, quote, unlimited supply. Meanwhile, Savannah, inside Saudi Arabia, the leaders of Pakistan and Turkey have arrived to sign a defense pact, an indication that America's allies and partners in this region are looking for new ways to defend themselves, and another example of the way that the war in Iran is changing the global picture. Savannah?
All right, Keir, thank you very much. Well, back here in the U.S., this is big news. Meta is now facing nearly $1 billion in penalties after being found liable for harming children through Facebook and Instagram. A New Mexico jury handed Meta a second 9-figure fine. Now this is bringing the total to $942 million. Much of this new money will fund youth treatment services. NBC News business and data correspondent Brian Chung joins us with the latest. Brian, good morning.
Hey there, this stems from a landmark civil case in New Mexico back in March. The new ruling, just the latest setback for the social media giant, which is facing a slew of lawsuits from thousands of families. A huge legal blow this morning for social media giant Meta. A New Mexico court ordering the company behind Facebook and Instagram to pay a massive $567 million penalty as part of a landmark legal trial. The judge ruling the bulk of that money, $420 million, will be used for treatment services for young people, while the rest will go towards awareness and prevention and other costs over the next 5 years. All this on top of the $375 million in damages imposed by a jury earlier this year, who found Meta knowingly harmed children's mental health on its platforms. The civil case was brought by the state's attorney general, who overnight called the decision a victory for every parent who was worried about what social media is doing to their child, and every child who deserves to grow up safer online.
It should be a clear signal to everyone in this space, and to Mr. Zuckerberg in particular, that enough is enough. It's time to change the way they do business.
The trial included testimony from Instagram head Adam Mosseri, who pushed back on accusations the company failed to protect kids from online predators. Mosseri touting Instagram's safety measures, but acknowledging the system is not perfect.
Even though Meta says it doesn't allow child exploitation content, does some content like that make it onto Meta's apps?
Yes.
Is that acceptable to Meta?
We're not happy about it, but we're also honest about the fact that some will happen, and very committed to finding it and removing it as quickly as possible.
The trial also featuring old deposition testimony from Meta's CEO Mark Zuckerberg.
So we need to constantly be vigilant and improve our systems in order to be able to identify the bad actors and bad content on our systems.
Some jurors from the trial's first phase not persuaded by Meta's arguments.
They're doing it on purpose, but they are aware of what's going on and they know the extent of it, and they really do need to fix it.
In the second phase of the trial, prosecutors asked the judge to impose fundamental changes at Meta, from reining in addictive features, improving age verification, and using privacy settings to prevent child sexual exploitation. Meta vowing to appeal the verdict, saying in a statement overnight, "We work hard to keep people safe on our platforms and have been transparent about the challenges of identifying and removing bad actors and harmful content." The total amount Meta is responsible for in this case, $942 million, is a small fraction of its annual profits, which were about $60 billion last year. But as mentioned, this is one of the first of many potentially costly lawsuits the company is facing. Back to you.
All right, Brian Chung, thank you very much for covering that breaking news for us. Well, now to the cyclospora and salmonella outbreaks that have sickened people across the country. The CDC and FDA are now focusing on supply chains that trace back to Mexico, where more than half of our vegetables are grown. NBC News Chief Environmental Affairs correspondent Ann Thompson has been following these outbreaks from the start, and she's got the very latest for us. Ann, good morning.
Hey there, that common connection between the contaminated lettuce and peppers is raising new questions about just who is responsible for making sure our imported food is safe and why that did not happen in these incidents. This morning, those devastating foodborne illnesses now affecting almost every state in the nation are having a very real impact on many businesses. The popular salad chain Sweetgreen, not linked to the outbreak, slashing its business outlook based upon reduced consumer demand for fresh prepared foods due to the multi-state outbreak of cyclosporiasis. This just the latest ripple effect of dual salmonella and cyclospora outbreaks. Cyclospora, which was initially tied to iceberg lettuce sold at Taco Bell, has been reported in 47 states. The more recent salmonella outbreak, linked to jalapenos from both Chipotle and Qdoba, federal officials say has reached 27 states. Both illnesses can come from contaminated water. The CDC and FDA saying the tainted lettuce and jalapenos have been traced to Mexico, where 63% of all our imported vegetables are grown. Barbara Kowalczyk leads George Washington University's Institute for Food Safety, and she says recent cuts by the Trump administration may play a role.
We have not invested in food safety the way we should, and that has led to these big outbreaks which erode public trust and really impact the entire system.
The administration has said the cuts have had no impact. But the government acknowledges the FDA, which oversees fresh produce, just inspects a tiny fraction of the imported food.
Only 2%? Only 2%.
So how do we know the other 98% is safe?
Well, and that's not tested. That's just inspected. FDA doesn't have the resources to go out to those establishments and check to make sure that their food safety systems are working.
Only inspected because testing the food means destroying it. Amid all of these foodborne concerns, there's actually some good news. In Michigan, hardest hit by the cyclospora outbreak, the state's Department of Public Health now lifting the lettuce and salad greens warning as cases decline, saying the majority of contaminated produce is likely no longer available for consumption. Back to you.
All right, Anne, thank you. Well, out west, firefighters are working around the clock to stop the raging wildfires in Washington state. Extreme heat and high winds are expected to hit the state once again today, sparking concerns that the devastation there could get worse. We are also learning more about the case against the man accused of setting what is being described as one of the most destructive fires in the state's history. NBC News national correspondent Morgan Chesky has been in Washington all week covering this for us and joins us with the very latest. Morgan, good morning.
Yes, Savannah, good morning. An investigator shedding some stunning new details about this suspect, saying that 37-year-old Aaron Farinacci confessed to starting the Old Trails fire, and that's the one that created the devastation we are standing right in the middle of. Now, he did not enter a formal plea in court on Thursday. Instead, his court-appointed attorney requested a competency hearing to see if his client can even stand trial.
Exhausted firefighters in eastern Washington bracing for another long weekend of searing temperatures and high winds that could quite literally add additional fuel to already raging wildfires. On Thursday, prosecutors charged 37-year-old Aaron Farinacci with 4 new counts of first-degree arson.
You believe you have the sole person responsible in custody?
Yes, we do. According to court documents, a Spokane County detective says Farinacci confessed to starting the devastating Old Trails fire over the weekend, saying he began planning the fire approximately 2 weeks before August 1st, using a weather app to predict a day that would have high winds, low humidity. According to the police affidavit, Farinacci claims he ignited 25 fires near his home between July and August of last year. He was questioned by police multiple times, but never arrested.
Why were charges not filed against him last year?
It is not so easy to prove in court beyond a reasonable doubt when all you have is suspicion.
Officials say the Spokane complex fires have now burned more than 10,000 acres and destroyed more than 900 homes and buildings. Dozens of additional wildfires are also burning across the West, including a fire in California, where one body's been found in a burned home. 65-year-old Herbert Wayne Smith has been arrested and accused of recklessly causing that blaze. Smith telling NBC affiliate KCRA he unintentionally ignited the fire while cutting scrap metal.
If I could go back in time and change it, I would. But I can't go back in time. I'm sorry to everybody out there.
Back in Spokane, with fire risk at extreme levels, the sheriff warning any activity that might cause a spark could be disastrous.
Right now, with conditions as they are, and they're deteriorating for the next 3 days, there is a 100% chance that a spark will ignite a fire right now.
Yeah, it's certainly concerning. And I asked the sheriff, what about the tens of thousands of people that have yet to go back home because of these evacuation orders? He says he understands the potential frustration there, but points to the deteriorating conditions, the chance to have a reignition, as well as the fact that in some of these damaged and destroyed neighborhoods, there are toxins that they don't want these people to be breathing at this time here. Savannah.
Absolutely. And Morgan, you stay safe, too, and take the precautions you need. Thanks so much. Well, for more on the conditions out west and the rain that's pushing east, NBC News meteorologist Angie Lastman is with us with our Morning News Now weather. Hi, Angie. Good morning.
Hi, Savannah. Happy Friday. Good morning to you. We've got to talk, of course, about the fire conditions out west. We're going to continue to see those gusty winds and low humidity. The good news of all of this is our winds aren't going to be quite as ramped up as they were last weekend when, of course, those fires started, but they're still going to be anywhere from 20 to 30 miles per hour, which isn't great for fires, for fire containment. We've also got that low humidity, so no surprise with the fire alerts that are up across parts of the Pacific Northwest and the Rockies. That is also where you'll find those air quality alerts. No surprise there. It's going to be the worst that you'll see across parts of the Pacific Northwest, but even in parts of the Midwest and the plains, you'll likely see some of those hazy conditions through at least the next couple of days as firefighters work to get those fires contained. Otherwise, 81 million people under heat alerts. Some of those, a section of the Northeast, parts of the South, and a whole lot of those across parts of the West. This is where you'll find the potential for record-breaking temperatures in the coming days. Look at where you see all of those red dots. Those are spots that we could potentially break a record high in the next 3 days or so. Places like Tahoe City, Eureka, Salt Lake City, Albuquerque, Phoenix, included in that, as well as Denver, as we gear up for, again, 100+ degree temperatures for our actual temperatures across this region. Las Vegas tops out at 112 both Saturday and Sunday, 100 for Denver on Saturday, hundreds across the board for Phoenix, Roswell, and you'll see even Saturday and Sunday in parts of the Central Plains, temperatures into the triple digits. We've also got some rain on the move thanks to the system that we've been kind of tracking. It's been taking its time over the past couple of days. Today, we are going to watch for the potential of some of those stronger storms. We've got all the ingredients, the heat, the humidity, the moisture, and that leaves us with anywhere from New York to Washington, D.C., seeing the potential for some of those strong storms through the second half of your Friday. It's really going to be the afternoon hours into the evening hours that you'll have to watch for that. And then tomorrow it becomes more scattered, not completely quiet when it comes to the rain, but not quite as widespread as what we'll see through the day today. Either way, I think this afternoon and evening, and maybe even into parts of tomorrow, we could see some delays on the roadways or at the airports if you are going to travel. Otherwise, big picture look for your weekend. The intense heat is what will get your attention across the middle of the country. We'll see a whole lot of sunshine across the west, some scattered showers and thunderstorms really for much of the east. Notice we'll see some kind of milder conditions and a little bit of sunshine across the Midwest. That's going to be a good spot for your Saturday, but you do have to deal with those showers by the time Sunday rolls around. Plenty of sunshine for parts of New England as we get into Sunday, and then all that sunshine across the west, but you will have to deal with the smoky conditions across the Pacific Northwest, parts of the plains, and even the Midwest. And otherwise, that heat wave continues across the South. Temperatures well into the triple digits, even as we get into Sunday. You're dodging a couple of showers across parts of the Southeast as well. Savannah, a whole lot going on over the next couple of days.
No kidding. It really is just from coast to coast. Angie, thank you so much. There's much more to come here on Morning News Now. Later this hour, fresh snapshot of the economy. The July jobs report is out today, and economists project we will see an uptick in hiring. We're breaking down the numbers and what they mean for this economy. Up first, though, scramble to conserve. Nearly 200,000 residents in Puerto Rico will be without water for the next 2 days. The efforts to conserve as much as possible before the taps turn off, that is next. Welcome back. Puerto Rico is now rationing water as it faces an intense drought. New strict measures are being implemented for hundreds of thousands of people in the U.S. territory as critical reservoirs have dropped to dangerously low levels. The island just suffered its driest July on record. NBC News correspondent George Solis joins us now from San Juan with more. George, good morning.
Savannah, good morning to you. Starting today, more than 180,000 Puerto Ricans are going to be without water for a 2-day period as the country struggles to conserve what's left. So what you're seeing are people like this who are coming to a water tank to fill up any potable water they can. So many Puerto Ricans already forced to make difficult choices like having to either wash their clothes, brush their teeth, even flush the toilets.
Families in Puerto Rico this morning rushing to fill every bottle, bucket, and makeshift container they can find as they prepare to go without running water for 2 days at a time. Locals rushing to tankers like these to fill up with a humanitarian crisis looming.
How bad is the water crisis right now?
It's extremely bad. It's something really hard to handle. We shouldn't be living like this.
The contentious water rationing plan, designed to help the island weather a historic summer drought and aging infrastructure that's already left some residents without water for days at a time.
Today's my 4th day without water.
This is the Carraízo Reservoir, the largest source of drinking water for the San Juan metro area. The water receding so far, this floating dock now sitting on dry land. July was the city's driest month on record in more than 120 years. And while there's been some rain, it has not been enough to help. 2/3 of the island now under moderate to extreme drought conditions. Puerto Rico's governor saying the situation is out of their control. I don't produce the water. No engineer produces it. God produces it, she says. But that offers little comfort to residents who are demanding accountability as they are forced to make difficult choices.
Nobody deserves to live like this.
Frustrations reaching a boiling point with no relief in sight.
People are upset.
Yeah, they're upset. And they should be.
Savannah, this spigot offering a lifeline to so many, and government officials say they don't know how long this rationing plan will need to be in effect. You should also note that we're in an El Nino period, which means conditions are already drier and hotter than normal, which means so many families that are coming to tankers like this to fill up water are having to do so in the heat. Savannah?
All right, George, thank you very much. Stay cool there. Well, nearly 2 decades after Amanda Knox became the center of a murder case that captivated the world, she's now taking her story to the comedy stage, and that is sparking some fresh controversy. Knox, who spent 4 years in an Italian prison before being acquitted of the 2007 murder of her roommate Meredith Kercher, says the show explores her own experience with trauma and motherhood. But Kercher's sister says it risks trivializing violence and her family's pain. NBC News correspondent Danielle Hamamdin joins us now with the latest. Danielle, good morning.
Good morning, Savannah. Yeah, the murder case involving Amanda Knox has been closed, as you say, for years, but she's still making headlines. We've heard from her in interviews, books she's written, TV series, but this is new. She says she's turning to comedy to tell the story of how she was wrongly vilified. Amanda Knox, once at the center of a high-profile murder case, is back in the headlines this morning, only this time she's not in court, but up on stage and facing backlash for the show she's about to put on. Knox is debuting a comedy show tonight in Edinburgh, Scotland. She says it's about motherhood and how she'll explain to her own daughter what happened to her in Italy nearly 20 years ago.
What's the worst you can do to me? I bombed in a courtroom and they sent me to prison, so I'm just saying I'd rather be heckled than shackled.
Back in 2007 in Italy, Knox was arrested and convicted of murdering her British roommate, 21-year-old student Meredith Kercher. The case drawing global attention, with Knox serving 4 years in prison. She was later cleared of the charges following a retrial.
I'm so grateful to have my life back.
Now her new comedy, Cartwheel, named after the claim she did cartwheels at the police station after being questioned by police, is being heavily criticized. Among those speaking out, Meredith Kercher's sister Stephanie, who says,
we felt very strongly that the violence surrounding the theme is not appropriate for a platform at a comedy show. But I would have hoped that 2 decades on, we'd maybe have a little bit more empathy.
Knox, who's already written 2 books about her ordeal, says this is just another format to tell her side of the story.
I can't speak to what is or is not triggering to Meredith's family. What I can say is that I've never seen the kind of scrutiny and criticism pointed towards a wrongly accused man that I've seen pointed towards me.
Despite the controversy, the show is sold out.
Congratulations, Amanda. You're not guilty. You're just deeply unsettling to the general public.
Now, a petition calling for the festival hosting Knox to cancel her performance has amassed thousands of signatures saying, quote, the show mocks the horrific events surrounding Meredith's murder and aims to somehow turn this tragedy into entertainment. In response, Knox said that her show actually honors Meredith Kercher's memory and calls out the violence that was done to her and to Knox herself. We're also now hearing from the director of the festival, who says the decision whether to go ahead with the show lies with Amanda and the venue hosting it. He said the festival isn't responsible for programming, but they've never been afraid of controversy. Savannah?
All right, Danielle, thank you very much. Coming up, new discovery. Scientists have used an AI tool to create more than a dozen new viruses. They say the creations do not pose a danger to humans or animals, but some experts are still sounding the alarm. We'll get you the details next. We are back now with a closer look at what is making news in the world of politics this morning, starting with fresh scrutiny over President Trump's deal with the DOJ. NBC News senior national politics reporter John Allen has that and more for us. John, good morning.
Good morning, my savvy friend. Lots of folks would like to be immune from an IRS audit of their taxes. You would, I would. But only one of them is President Donald Trump. As part of his settlement with his own Justice Department, Trump got a carve-out shielding him and his family from audits. Now, the union representing IRS workers is challenging that settlement in federal court, joining a revised lawsuit against what critics call the January 6th slush fund. That $1.8 billion pot of money, also known as the weaponization fund, would be spent on payouts to Trump allies who say they were unfairly targeted by the federal government. A federal judge temporarily blocked the weaponization fund in May. Now, the IRS workers' claim is the first to challenge the Trump tax carve-out. They contend that protecting the president could force them to break the law. While the president works to protect himself from tax liability, his administration announced that it will try to save taxpayer money by shredding regulations governing Head Start. That's the federal anti-poverty program for educating young children. As the New York Times reported, hundreds of regulations are headed for the garbage bin. They include requirements for teaching math and literacy, medical screenings, and brushing teeth after meals. And finally, Representative Andy Ogles lost the Republican primary in Tennessee's 5th congressional district last night. Ogles fully aligned himself with President Trump, and Trump endorsed Ogles. That wasn't enough. Ogles lost to Charlie Hatcher, the former state agriculture commissioner, who ran with the backing of establishment figures, including Governor Bill Lee. In 2 terms in the House, Ogles has stood out as one of the most socially conservative lawmakers. He has said that Muslims don't belong in American society and that the federal government should strip New York Mayor Zohran Mamdani of his citizenship. But Ogles may be best known as the author of a proposal to amend the Constitution so that President Trump could seek a 3rd term. In the end, Tennessee voters denied Ogles his 3rd term. Savannah, to steal from the inimitable Alanis Morissette, I ask you, isn't it ironic? Don't you think?
You know, John, there's no politics now like a politics now when you join us. So I really appreciate that. And I see what you did there with Savvy. Thank you, John. Happy Friday. We appreciate your time this morning.
Take care, Savannah.
Well, now to a groundbreaking new study that's raising hope for the future of medical treatments, also, though, raising some really big questions. So for the first time ever, scientists used an AI tool to create new types of viruses. The lead authors here, they say these viruses, they are not dangerous to animals or humans, but actually could be pivotal in developing new medicines and gene therapies. On the other side of this, though, some experts warn the technology could be used to invent dangerous or even deadly pathogens if it is left unrestricted. NBC News AI reporter Jared Perlow joins us now to break down this discovery. Jared, always great to have you with us. Good morning. So researchers say that they used essentially a chatbot, sort of a tool similar to one. A lot of our audience is probably familiar with chatbots, to create these 16 new viruses. So let's just start there. What is the science? How is this possible?
Yeah, good morning, Savannah. Thanks for having me. So this is very interesting and exciting new research from a team out at Stanford and then an institute called the Arc Institute. So zooming out, today's AI systems are essentially data crunchers. So lots of information goes in, they look for different associations, and then if people at home are familiar with ChatGPT or Claude, those sorts of consumer AI applications, they spit out words, usually helping people draft emails or homework assignments. That's essentially what's going on here, but with biology. So these scientists at Stanford in this institute trained a new AI model. It's called Evo, and its successor Evo 2. It's actually been out for a couple of years, but for the first time, they applied it to different viruses. So Evo identified 16 new viruses that were actually viable. They replicated inside of bacteria, and it taught AI how to identify new DNA patterns that replicated or resembled patterns that existed in nature, and then use that data to write new recipes for new viruses. So that's what's really interesting and novel about this research, is it shows for the first time this model creating 16 new viruses that actually functioned and existed, survived in actual bacteriophages.
So what is this good news piece of this that these scientists are saying could help with some type of medical advances?
Well, AI, I think, holds immense promise to revolutionize healthcare. We actually did a piece here at NBC not too long ago about how off-the-shelf ChatGPT systems helped kids who had never been diagnosed with rare diseases before find diagnoses. So because AI is so good at crunching data, it could potentially identify new medicines, new ways to deliver those medicines, and you're seeing lots of people take AI up on this new promise. Actually, just 2 days ago, we saw Google DeepMind's chief scientist leave and launch his own new startup because he thinks that AI's ability to simulate billions of different experiments in a time that would take human researchers potentially eternities, that could really give patients and the healthcare industry new material to work with.
So, Jared, let's say, this group of scientists, this study, whatever they're up to there, they were looking at something, it is sort of a breakthrough here, and they say this could really help people in certain ways. Fine. However, that same technology, whether it's with this group, whether it's with another, could it just be used to, rather than saying, make me a virus that does X and it's something good, make me a virus that does X and it's something bad? How dangerous could this be?
It could be incredibly dangerous. And if viewers at home are familiar with the Mythos moment, when we saw recent AI models become incredibly capable in the cybersecurity domain, many people think that's going to happen in the biosecurity domain too. So AI systems could absolutely help bad actors develop viruses that could be immensely lethal and, unleash new waves of pandemics like COVID, but potentially even worse. So scientists think that AI could create new biological weapons, those future pandemics, because they wouldn't have antidotes, wouldn't have treatments in the same way as other sorts of known pathogens too. That could be really scary. And just at the beginning of June, several of the most important AI leaders in the world actually came together, signed a new open letter saying that there should be mandatory screening of new biological variants, new DNA variants as a result of AI. Currently, there is no policy on the book preventing that sort of synthesis. So it's a very active area of discussion, and I think, frankly, one that we should watch really closely over the next couple of years, and it will get pretty scary if we don't take action.
Absolutely. Jared Perlow, as always, thank you so much. Fascinating stuff. Good to see you. Coming up, the July jobs report is just out. After the break, we are breaking down surprising new data from the Bureau of Labor Statistics. What the numbers mean for the jobs market, that is coming right up. We are back now with some major breaking economic data out of the U.S. Bureau of Labor and Statistics. This morning, we are learning that the U.S. economy lost 23,000 jobs in July. The unemployment rate also dropped to 4.1%. Our economy experts are here to break this down for us. We've got NBC News Chief Business Correspondent Christine Romans, as well as Investopedia's Editor-in-Chief and Chief Business Editor of People Inc., Caleb Silver. Good morning to both of you. We always love when you join us. Christine, I will start with you at just what this means. I mean, it's not what we were expecting. The forecast was to add 83,000 or so jobs rather than lose 23,000.
It's surprise weakness in the job market. And if you think over the last year, you've got average job creation of about 34,000. So this is a reversal of what has already been a pretty lukewarm performance overall on average. And then you look at revisions here. The data scientists went back and they scrubbed these numbers and they actually revised down another 103,000. So that shows you a job market that's it's moving along sideways at best here. When we talk about the unemployment rate, you can see the gap in that chart there. That is because of a government shutdown when we didn't get the data. But the unemployment rate fell to 4.1%. And on its surface, that would be seen as good, a lower unemployment rate. It's because since January, people have been leaving the labor market. The labor force participation rate has been going down. So the jobless rate is down, but for a bad reason. People are dropping out of the labor market.
Caleb, your reaction here to these numbers?
Yeah, all the things that she said, especially those revisions looking at May and June, it wasn't as if the job market was that strong. It was just much weaker than expected. That unemployment rate of 4.1% is important because it is a reflection of a much smaller labor force right now. More people leaving it and less people involved in a period. A lot of that also due to the immigration policies. So you have a weaker labor force here. You also have basically a low broiling economy right now that's growing at only 1.5% if you look at GDP. Now, people don't live inside GDP numbers. They live in the real world, which is higher inflation and slowing growth, and that equals potentially stagflation.
Christine, let's talk this through by industry. Break this down for us, biggest gains and losses.
So we saw healthcare create jobs. That has been a consistent driver of the American economy and the American job market. Healthcare has been. So you saw some 22,000 jobs added there, but that is actually lower than the average. Leisure and hospitality, manufacturing, professional business services, pretty much there were job losses across the board here. I'm seeing broad-based job loss, or at least not robust job creation. And then healthcare is really the only bright spot there. These are numbers for July. Not clear what happens going forward, but remember, we've got renewed tariffs. Now, we have a war with Iran that has raised energy prices, which means a lot of companies are paying more to ship their goods and to just run their businesses. So it might be that they're pulling back a little bit on hiring because that's where they can save some money. Unclear where we go from here. I'll just say wages at 3.2%. So that means wage growth is slowing a little bit, and wages are now growing more slowly than the overall inflation number. So, Savannah, that means purchasing power of your family it's shrinking.
Right. Caleb, exactly what Christine's saying here. I mean, Americans are already worried right now about the costs of everything, the rising costs, inflation that we're seeing, obviously how much it's costing right now due to the war to fill your car up. Is there cause for concern, more concern maybe with these latest numbers?
Well, we have to see more data, and I think that's what the Fed's going to tell you, too. And when they decide not to decide what to do in 40 days, 5 hours and 15 minutes. But you have a slowing labor market, so raising interest rates right now to cool inflation would be the wrong thing to do for the labor market. It looks like companies are starting to pull back, and we're probably going to hear about potentially more layoffs as we go into the second half of the year, the last quarter of the year. One notable sector, retail trade, lost 19,000 jobs. You think that'd be stronger during the summer, a little bit more consumer discretionary spending? That doesn't look like it's happening right now. So I think we're in this really slow moving part of the economy right now. And I think we need to look at August and September and see if companies want to hire people back going into the end of the year.
Caleb, thank you so much. And Christine, you're going to stay right here with us because we are going to switch gears here, still stay on your money, and talk about back to school shopping. Get this. Listen to this stat. This year, families are expected to spend a record $43.3 billion. That's according to the National Retail Federation, with a lot of money going towards shoes, school supplies, and electronics as we gear up to get our kids back in classrooms. But before you go do all that shopping, Christine has some smart ways to help you save. I mean, first, Christine, let's just talk about this number, $43.3 billion. It's a record. That is a staggering number there. Where is it that families are really going to see things feel like they've jumped in price?
And the college spending is even more.
Oof.
It's more than $100 billion, and that's a lot on electronics for both K through 12 and for college students. But if you're talking about K through 12 spending, it's about $865 a
family. I mean, that's a significant part of your budget here. And a lot of folks are buying things like shoes, school supplies, electronics. A couple of things happening. Tariffs are making things more expensive. A lot of school supplies are manufactured overseas. And as I just mentioned in that previous segment, you've got energy costs up. So it costs more to move this stuff around. This is school supply price changes over the past year. One category there, the school books and textbooks and textbook and electronics, educational books and tech are actually down. But everything else is up. So we'll see people both spending more money and the things that they're buying will cost more. So that's why we've got these record numbers.
Where can families try to save some money without, feeling like they're cutting corners or anything when they're trying to get their kids back in school?
The back to school deals are already here. I've only been to the beach once this summer, and already that's like,
no, I know.
They're pushing me into the fall.
It is the beginning of August, people. But I do understand that some of these schools start early, so it's good information to get. But it's still summer.
It's still summer, right? But the back to school deals are there. Walmart has a 1,300 item rollback in prices on a bunch of school supplies like glue sticks and lunch boxes. Target has 60% off school supplies. Staples has some things that are like 25 cents. So shop the sales. That's important. But also the student and teacher discounts are so good. Especially for college kids. Target has a college kid discount that's 20%. You have to sign up through the Circle app, but do that. The retail programs for free shipping and cashback deals, you just got to do the homework. And then starting this weekend, the tax holidays in a bunch of states begin. So go to taxfoundation.org. Find out if your state, like Connecticut, Florida, Illinois, Iowa, Maryland, Massachusetts, a whole bunch of states, they're going to wipe out the sales tax on back to school items starting this weekend. I mean, you can save 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10% that way.
Yeah, that's amazing. I know you also have some ways to game the system, some hacks for us.
Yeah, you want to use your AI tools, and if you're looking for a specific kind of calculator, go use the AI chatbot and find out where you can find it the cheapest. Right. Also, you can do price matching, especially at places like Best Buy and Staples. If you find it cheaper, they'll match that price. So do that, and then spread out the shopping. I always tell people, don't feel like you have to go on one day and buy all this stuff, and you're overwhelmed, and you might find an impulse purchase that's going to get you off of your list and your budget. If you're shopping for clothes, shop the sales that are happening right now for summer clothes. The fall merchandise is all full price. Wait till later for the fall merchandise. So be smart about those sales. And you can also do refurbished tech. I am a big fan of looking at the refurbished tech on Amazon and Target and Walmart and Staples. All these places you can find some of this tech that you're going to need. It's good. It's been certified. Right. But it's just, somebody else has had it before you.
I also love your tip to buy store brand when you can.
Yeah.
How much of a difference can that make?
If you look at pencils, for example, store brand next to, the name brand, there's significant difference. You can shop secondhand. I'm a big fan of this. When I was a kid, if you shop secondhand, you didn't want to brag about it. But, secondhand right now, Depop, ThredUp, a lot of others, especially with sporting equipment, you can save a lot of money. And it's cool, Savannah. It's like the kids want to shop secondhand.
No,
it's like a real.
You and your son showed us that.
It's the fastest growing part of retail, the secondhand shopping. So don't be embarrassed. Do it.
Really?
Save some money.
I couldn't love it more, actually. I love a vintage find.
Christine. Vintage.
Yeah, or antique even. Christine, thank you so much. Great to have you with us. By the way, hopefully you've been noticing this as a good plug for your new show, Current with Christine Romans. It streams weekdays at 10 a.m. Eastern right here on NBC News Now. So in just a bit, you'll be seeing Christine for quite a while. Thank you, Christine. Coming up, all the entertainment that you simply can't miss. We are ending this hour with our weekly can't miss list full of all the movies, music, and TV shows you got to watch and listen to this weekend. We've got some favorites returning to streaming to tell you about. Stick around. We'll be right back. Finally this hour, it is Friday, which means it's time for your weekly can't miss list. We've got to look at all the movies and shows that you got to see this weekend. Joining us this week, you've seen him before, David Correa, entertainment correspondent and host of the Huzz Banter podcast. Always great to have you with us. Good morning.
Oh, so excited to be here with you.
Happy Friday. Isn't that a good news? Whenever we do can't miss, that means it's Friday. Okay, I'm so excited about this first one. We're going to talk about One Night Only. It's a little raunchy for morning TV, so we're going to keep it PG, let's call it. But tell us about this rom-com. I just love the cast.
It is a wild one. Imagine The Purge, but for shebang bang diggy. It's like
I don't even know. I wonder how many people even know what any of those words just meant.
It's one night. It's a dystopian reality, and there is one night that single folks can engage in some adult activity 364 days out of the rest of the year, they are not allowed to. And our two-star...
I didn't realize that piece of it. This is like dystopian thing.
It's like a weird... it's a weird rom-com.
This just took a turn.
It's hilarious. It's actually really sweet at the end of the day. Monica Barbero, who folks might remember from A Complete Unknown.
Yeah.
Callum Turner, folks will remember from everything, most recently marrying Dua Lipa.
I was going to say, folks will know as Mr. Dua Lipa.
Exactly. Their chemistry is really great.
Oh, good.
And it is like a little love story, but it is set to this weird background. I loved it. I thought it was great.
Okay, awesome. All right, Super Troopers is back.
Yes. The Broken Lizard Gang is back. You've got Farva, you've got Foster, you've got Thorny, and they are these highway patrolmen engaged in all these hijinks. It is really made for the fans. The first Super Troopers became iconic in 2002. 2018, they came back with part 2, and they did a whole fan base to raise the money. They raised $26 million in one day. This part 3 includes a wedding that rivals Meet the Parents. It's hilarious. It's really made for the fans.
Love it. Okay, we're going to try to hit 4 more things in 2 minutes.
Okay.
So let's start with Ted Lasso. Hello.
Most excited about this one. This is out on Apple TV right now. New episodes every Wednesday. We thought they were done, but they are back for season 4, and the entire gang is back with new challenges for Ted.
It also just who doesn't want to just jump back into that world?
It's just
and
so sweet.
Feel good and laugh. And some of it was already really making me crack up. Okay, the Real Housewives are taking another Ultimate Girls trip. Tell us about this.
I lied. I'm most excited about this one. I've already watched the first 2 episodes. It's so good. It's so good. They're celebrating 20 years of the Housewives franchise, but the actual celebration is happening on this trip with Kyle Richards, Vicky Gunvalson, Luann de Lesseps, just to name a few. And there are 80 other housewives that are featured throughout the season on this, including the iconic
Wait, how many?
80.
Oh, wow. See, I don't know enough about this. I don't understand.
Oh, I know so
works.
much. We can have a whole kiki.
Okay. Wait, 80 are going on a trip or what?
No, 7 are on a trip, but 80 make appearances throughout the season.
Interesting. Very interesting. Okay. Now this is a new USA drama. It's called Anna Pigeon.
Yes.
Based on books some people might really love. Tell us about this.
Yes, this is by the author Nevada Barr, and she is basically a park ranger in Montana who also solves murders. And beyond the murders, she has to get over the challenge of being like a tree cop.
Okay.
But it is really interesting. Definitely check it out if you like those old-fashioned mystery shows.
I got to see a little bit of this, and what I just thought was so cool is that you're like watching a show, but with this like absolutely gorgeous, national park type of setting. It's like really kind of a treat in that way.
Yeah, a lot of beautiful scenery, also a lot of murder.
Yeah, and they made a point to say no AI. That's like really what you're seeing there. Okay, finally, Super Size Me, that documentary. Everybody probably remembers it. Something else going on here.
This one is called Big Chicken, a Fast Food Conspiracy. It starts out light and funny. It's led by Mo Gilligan, who's a British comedian, and he's eating fried chicken for 28 days straight, fast food fried chicken specifically. And then as we progress, we start to learn about the big chicken industry and how it impacts human health. It's really deep as you get through it.
Sounds a little
Definitely check
dark,
it out.
But probably things that would be good for us to know. But
check it out, but don't expect to eat
ones.
fried chicken much after that.
Right, exactly. David, wow, look, we did it.
We did
got
it.
through them all. Thank you so much. Great to see you. Finally, an extra thing that we can't miss. It's our executive producer, Sean Reese's birthday. Sean, you didn't get away with keeping it a secret. Everybody cheer. Woo! Thank you for everything you do to lead our team. We love you so much. You make our show a success. He is the guy you want when there's a breaking story in your ear, on your team. And when you need a genius to make an idea really shine, that is him. Or even if you're just having like a personal crisis at 5 a.m. when we're all here at the office. Sean, we love you so much. We appreciate you very much. Mwah, mwah, mwah. That does it for this hour of Morning News Now. But the news continues right now.
We thank you for watching, and remember, stay updated on breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or watch live on our YouTube channel.